and welcome. My name is Marty. I am here at PCOA responsible for the Enhanced Fitness program. And hopefully you've clicked on here if you are interested in doing Enhanced Fitness, but you'd like a little bit more information. So I'd like to take about a half an hour, go through kind of the details of the Enhanced Fitness class. So remember, this is an exercise class that is focused on helping with fall prevention. And that means that we're doing strength training. The classic exercise equipment that's used for that class are weight cuffs. And we have ankle cuffs and wrist weights. Those are separate purchase of above and beyond class registration, but they're really fun to have and they work really well. And that's the only piece of equipment unless you need a new outfit or something. So the class starts out with a general warm-up. So when we're warming up, thinking about elevating the body temperature a little bit, kind of mentally bringing ourselves into, the class. So a warm-up is really nice, big stretching, full body movements, seated or standing. Our classes combine both seated and standing. So that's really a nice thing to be able to adjust like that. And the classes, even if you're standing, you're going to have a chair right there for yourself. Some of this stuff is easily done at a chair, not in a chair. Okay. But yeah, so the seated and standing combination, I know some people were curious about that. Is the class, going to be standing or seated? So basically the answer is combination. Okay, then we move into about a 20-minute cardiovascular session. So that is the aerobic portion. The idea of any cardiovascular exercise is to increase your heart rate. Now, ways to do that are really effective are, big body movements, which can be done standing or again seated. So we're marching in place, we're doing knee lifts, we're doing leg lifts, all that kind of thing. We're moving side to side. Oops, let me not have my head cut off. Minor detail, right? So, being here, moving side to side, that kind of thing. Anytime we do leg work, big leg movements, that's going to increase your heart rate. It's always easy to add your arms and expect to increase your heart rate also. Okay, so something like just a general marching in place, adding your arms, doing different arm things. That's always considered cardiovascular training. And then, if you go to a class and you're unable to do something, you can always come back to a nice, easy marching. That's just kind of a nice little bit to know, to kind of have for yourself in case you don't want to do movement that's being done, or if it's a little complicated for you or something like that. Marching is always a good way to just maintain that heart rate. So you want your heart rate to be increasing. In exercise classes, we talk about rate of perceived exertion. Now that is something that you determine for yourself. So the rate of perceived exertion would, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being nothing, you're sitting there doing nothing, 10 being where I just am sprinting down the stairs and out the door to catch the bus. So in a class where you're trying to have this training of your heart, cardiovascular training, you want to be aiming for about a 5 to 7 on that scale of 1 to 10 of rate of perceived exertion. How hard am I working? And remember in the old days, we used to take our heart rates and stuff like that. We don't do that anymore. But the rate of perceived exertion is really a personal question to yourself. How hard am I working? Can I comfortably work harder here? Or should I ease up a little? I think one good rule of thumb for yourself is if you finish your exercise class and you feel like you have to take a nap, there's a really good chance you were overworking and not breathing well through your cardiovascular portion. On the other hand, if you take your exercise class, you finish up and you feel like you've worked a little, but you feel kind of energized, that's exactly what we're going for. Kind of getting energized from the exercise class. That's really, you know, there's nothing to be gained from pushing yourself so hard that it's not fun, or that you cause injury, or that you're in pain. There is nothing to be gained from that at all. You really want to be in a training zone in everything you do, really, that is beneficial for you, that's a healthy choice, and that's energizing. That's the whole idea. Movement, really, as we age, you know, movement makes us feel better and energizes us. That's really what the goal is here. Okay, so we have, as I said, we have about 20 minutes, give or take, of a cardio portion. And again, that's the same kind of large body movement. Then we have a little bit of a cool down from that, which is oftentimes where you'll see one of the components that makes an enhanced fitness class kind of different than some other classes. And that's where we stick in some balance work. So balancing exercises can be done seated. You know, there's a lot that can be done in a seated position as far as balance goes. People are very accustomed to doing balance work standing, and that could be anything from, you know, from just, oops, my head's cut off again, from like a tightrope walking, you know, that kind of thing, to tiptoe walking or heel walking. All these things are balance exercises. I'm a big fan of tiptoe walking. See if I can keep my head in the camera view. So, and also just plain walking where you're moving your head. So looking one direction, looking the other direction, looking one direction and the other direction. So remember your vision very tied in with your balance and the movement that you do. You want to have an awareness of where you are in space. So your vision is tying in to that. And, you know, I suggest as you do anything with involving balance, looking from side to side, for instance, that you really kind of pay attention, that you be as in the moment as you can be. And then, of course, very classic, you know, standing on one foot, standing on the other foot, that kind of thing. So those are movements that are frequently done, as I said, in the portion of the class after you are getting your heart rate up there. That's considered a cardio cool down, is the slang for that. No, I'm kidding. And then we go into the strength component. And this is, as I said, where the cuffs are used. So you might have familiarity with a strength class where you have dumbbells or bands, different tools or different you know, toys, we call them, we kind of have fun with them, that are used to help with resisting the movement, increasing the effort that the muscle is doing. So EnhanceFitness, we use the cuffs on the wrist and on the ankles. As I said, that's a piece of equipment that now with our restrictions, we're asking people to buy their own equipment. EnhanceFitness has used All Pro weights. They're adjustable. So when you get them, they are empty. You know, they can be empty. I think they actually will arrive to you full, but you just take the little weight bars out of the inserts, and then you have an adjustable weight. So let's say I'm just starting out. I think it's really important that you don't try, regardless of what you think you should be able to do, don't try to add too many weight plates before you get the whole hang of the form and what you're doing, because that's really important. Again, if you injure yourself, you know, it just kind of defeats the whole purpose of everything. So we got the weight cuffs. And if they're on the wrist, then you're going to be starting with 0 or 1, you know, little insert. Very small, and you're going to want to really pay attention to your form for your whole torso, your whole body. That's another important part in weight, in moving weight. You don't want to be losing any form, because then you start to things start to kind of backfire. You know, if your form isn't really good on something like your forward arm raises, you know, you could be going into bad posture, which could be putting more pressure on your back and could end up, you know, really hurting you. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing I just am saying to avoid pushing yourself with the weights, and get as comfortable with them as you can, and understand the movement, and then start challenging yourself a little bit. It's good to challenge, but not right off the bat. So your initial moves with you might not even have your cuffs yet. You might have just ordered them and they're going to be here. But the forward raises, so we do 4 required strength exercises for our top half. We do these forward arm raises. This is for the shoulder muscles, the anterior deltoid here. And we do bicep curls. So most all of us are familiar with the bicep. It's a strong little muscle for its size. So bicep curls, that's the other movement that we do involving the front side of the body. And then for the posterior deltoid, for the back of our shoulder, and as much of our upper back as we can engage, and the back of our arm or the triceps, we do then low row, and when you're really feeling that shoulder blades coming together, that's the low row, kind of pushing with your elbows, upper arms, and then a tricep extension. And that is going to look like this, just a kind of a karate chop back. Tricep extension is what that is. So sometimes I like to do a combination of that in class, where it's a reach forward and then the tricep extension as you go back. Now, there's a couple other different ways of being able to have those 4 major muscle groups exercised. And then sometimes in our classes, we have enough time to add, you know, different exercises for the upper body. That kind of keeps it a little bit, you know, just a little changing. But essentially, when you do weight training work, strength training work, you're looking at, 8 to 12 repetitions, 2 to 3 sets. So that would be, doing 8 to 12 repetitions of the forward raise, that kind of thing. And then maybe, moving to your bicep curls, and then maybe coming back and doing a second set. So that's what you can expect to see in any kind of strength training component of the class. And then we have, for the bottom half, for our leg strength and lower body strength, we have a number of exercises for that too. So my favorite of all of it is the stand-up. This is a classic exercise that actually can increase your heart rate. You can do this as a strength training move. And it's also used when we do fit checks on our EnhanceFitness students. The sit to stand is part of that, because it's a good way to get a handle on the level of strength for our low body. It's also very interesting because it's considered the test that you would go through if, to determine your own independence. So to be able to come from a seated position to standing, whether it's, getting out of a car, getting off of the toilet, standing up from bed, that kind of thing. Very important as we age to be able to do that, to maintain our independence. So there's a number of ways we do the sit to stand. One classic way is to just stand up with our arms crossed on our chest. Cutting my head off again, but that's okay. So up and down we go. And there's some different ways that you will see people do this also. So sometimes you'll see the hand will get used, the hands. Sometimes you'll see the legs staggered a little. Sometimes these are for different things, just a little bit of change, but also if you have a hurt or injured or a difficult knee, to place that in front as you do a stand-up, that can sometimes ease up the knee. Sometimes I just do a lot of those just for a change of pace. The other sit to stand is sort of a rocking chair kind of move. So this is where we're partially standing, not going up the whole way, and then a seated sit to stand, so we're not actually standing, is just butt squeezes. So butt squeezes are kind of a class favorite. We make jokes about them, and we all tend to include butt squeezes in our classes. Okay, then let's talk about standing leg extension. Or it's actually a hip extension. So we're standing, and I'm just gonna lift the legs straight back. You see my knee is straight, and it just goes straight back with the leg. I try to keep the toe pointed nicely forward. And this is all about the muscles in the butt. That's what we're doing with this standing hip extension or straight leg lift. Straight leg lift. Okay, then to the side, we go straight leg lift like that. This is an exercise that is easy to do incorrectly. We really want to stay focused on the side of the leg working, and that means we've got to keep our toes pointed forward, and it's not a very big lift happening here. It's out to the side, not very big. So avoiding turning and leading with the toe. That's what we're trying to avoid. Okay, so then if I were gonna do these in a seated place, having the butt squeezes is how I would do, the backside. So remember the straight leg lift or the butt squeezes, both working that area. And then what we've been doing seated for the side leg muscles is this isometric resisting, hand against leg. So pushing the legs into the hands as if I was gonna open my legs up, pushing in. And then, you know, also fists in the middle and pushing in this way. Okay. So that is the butt, the outside to inside. And then we talk about the quads. So the quads are involved in so much of our large body movement when we're marching, you know, standing, marching, kicking, running, all those kinds of moves. Any of that forward movement is so often going to be, you know, quad and hip flexor involved. So we just really want to be as balanced as we can. And part of the strength work is really trying to help us be more balanced, or at least kind of have an awareness of how we might be imbalanced. So I tend to see it in a lot of strength in the hip flexors, as I said, and the quads. Okay, so if we are going to do a standing hamstring curl, which would be the partner from the quad. Okay, the quad's on the front side of your thigh, hamstring on the back. This looks like this. The heel comes up toward your butt. You try to keep your working leg behind your supporting leg, and it just comes up and down. Okay, this can be done in a chair. Some of us actually have believed that this is harder in a chair than in a standing position. So here is the hamstring curl in a chair, okay? And then remember, I was talking about your quads. And I was saying that a lot of stuff like knee lifts that we do standing are quad exercises, but the one that we do seated with our weight cuffs on is just extending the leg straight forward like that. Remember, I've got my cuffs, my imaginary cuffs today on my ankles. Okay, that was alternating. You know, generally you're going to do, as I said, the 8 to 12 repetitions in one set. You're going to generally do that on one leg at a time. For variety, you might end up, you know, posting side to side. Okay. Then we keep moving down the legs. Excuse me. And then we come to the shins and the calf muscles. So really important with balance again. So remember, one of the advantages to the EnhanceFitness program that I really feel good about is the fall prevention component. So strengthening, in particular, the sides of our legs on the hip and the thighs, and strengthening our low legs and increasing mobility in our ankles. These are all related to fall prevention techniques. Okay, so just sitting here, tapping your toes. This is for the front side, and it doesn't really take too long to kind of start whining about the shins. At least in my experience, it doesn't take too long. And so again, you'll do, 8 to 12 repetitions, sets like that. Then the calf raises is opposite. So that's the heels coming up. Now these can be done seated, but I kind of like calf raises standing. So what you're doing with a standing calf raise is you're moving all your body weight. So you are going up and down, nice and straight up. Try to avoid rocking, going straight up and down. Okay, so however much you weigh, that's what your calves are pressing up. Pretty impressive, eh? Okay, and then you can do those toe raises when you're standing also. But as I said, I think they are fun to do seated. I can really move them a lot when I'm seated. Okay, so you won't be moving your chair back and forth like that in class. So there we go. So starting with our sit to stand with those muscles targeting the butt. And then we have the quad and the hamstring. We have the outside of the leg and the inner thigh, shins, calves, and the ankles that are affected with our toe raises and calf raises. So that is those are the list of the exercises that you can expect to see in that strength component. Now, usually we think about really working hard, during the aerobic portion or the cardio portion where you're getting your heart rate up there and you're moving pretty fast, and then the strength portion will usually be slower moving. So traditionally, you're talking about, like a 4-second and a 2-second kind of combination. So something like a leg extension, 1001, 1002, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1001, 1002, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's sort of the cadence that now it'll vary a little bit, but that's kind of what we're used to in the idea of weight training. And it should be harder in that portion of our weight training, in that portion of our class with our weight training than the cardio. So that's a little bit different. That's a difference in the Enhanced Fitness program and the focus that Enhanced Fitness has. Because as I said, again, fall prevention is one of the benefits, and really getting stronger is really the idea here. So moving in the cardio portion, strengthening the heart, that is great. And it's usually fun. And, we can usually kind of get the sweat going, get the blood going, that kind of thing. But when it comes to the strength portion of class, you really want to work hard, push yourself, with as much weight as you can do, and have good form in every repetition. So if you are coming up, to 7 and 8, and you feel like, I could do 25, 30, repetitions. No, you want to increase the weight in your cuff so that it's hard for you. You complete, let's say, you complete 8, 9, 10, and then you're really like, I don't know if I can do any more. This is getting heavier. That is the exact good weight that you're really finding that balance between pushing yourself a bit and not going crazy and injuring yourself. Not that I've ever done that. I know. I'm a really good example. Most of us are, aren't we? Good examples of, you know, what not to do. And then we get to age and we get to be a little bit nicer to ourselves. But we're trying to build strength. We're trying to have really good form. We're trying to breathe all the way through. I'm gonna always suggest that you are a nostril breather, that you keep your lips gently touching, and that you breathe as in the most healthy manner you can, that you use your breath. Think about all of your movements starting from your breath. That's just very important. And then after we do all that fun stuff with the strength training, we have another cool down. That's a stretching portion at the end of the class where all the muscles get a nice stretch. And when we are doing these online classes, they will all be remote. You will have a live streaming situation. Your instructor will be there with you. Feel free to ask questions as you go. Yeah, it's new for all of us. You know, those of us who've been doing in-person teaching for years, it's very different. We're glad that we can support everyone being healthy and moving and being as active as you can. That's our goal. So I think it's important to go ahead and know that if you have questions or concerns or anything like that, we're here to help. So we have an assistant as we teach that helps us get people on class. If you have, you know, technology issues, you can talk to a real live person to help you get on to the class. Once you're here, it's sometimes harder than other times to be able to communicate with you, but just know if you have questions that you can just send in or as I say, contact the assistant. Please don't hesitate to do that. We really want to support you having a really fun time, a good quality exercise class, a fun time doing it. We want to tell you that there are a lot of people who have been doing this program who are great and will welcome you and might be your new Zoom friends. So hopefully that was at least guiding you through what to expect in an enhanced fitness class. And I hope you decide to join us. Thank you.